Previously on For the Culture.
Is it that based on certain locations in Haiti, the language would also be spoken a bit differently as well?
Yeah, definitely. So it's basically split up into like three from what I've been told. So you have like the central area of Haiti, so near the capital, and then as you go out to the north, they have one way that they speak, and then further down south.
Now for part 2.
I know that in the first part of the video, we had talked about your journey to eventually teaching others, and you got over that I guess, imposter syndrome of like having to teach it as a second generation Haitian. For anyone who's trying to learn it, what are some best practices that you would recommend for them?
Okay, and we this is something that we implement in our classes. That's why they're set up the way that they are. I think we have like the 1 hour session and then like conversations throughout the week. Basically, immerse yourself. It's like what you said for your
Submerge
intro.
yourself in culture.
Yeah, exactly. You have to, especially with Creole, because there's not like what I have like the one textbook that I actually trust. There's another one I'm like vetting. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but I have like the one textbook that I trust. The one dictionary that is like pretty comprehensive and good. Like they have the English one and the Creole one. And then one dictionary I got from Haiti, which is awesome. Yeah, so if you want to get something outside of like whatever's in the textbook, which is very basic, you have to listen to the music. You have to like watch the comedy stuff. You gotta listen to the old stuff.
Oh, what's that guy name? What's the comedian's name? Jesse Foy? Is that?
Oh, Jessie Fa. Yeah, exactly. Like you gotta watch some Jessie Fa. You gotta watch some that's like the number one thing that people don't realize. Input. Like people come and they just want to talk right away. And I'm like, I get it, and that's great. And I will help you jumpstart with speaking. That's important actually. I would say definitely take up every opportunity to speak. But you'll be less nervous to speak if you have more up here. So I would say definitely best practice is to just like you can't go to Haiti right now, so you need to bring Haiti to yourself. Yeah, bring it to you. So just have that music playing. I mean, like they have different styles of music. You don't have to listen to like a particular kind. Maybe you like the old stuff. Like I have some students who told me they're like, I'm not about the modern compa, but I do like this and this, and I'll discover stuff through them. But like that's important. You have to try. Like watch that. There's social media. Go on Haitian Twitter. Go on Haitian Instagram. They make YouTube videos. Like on TikTok. I do not mess with TikTok. I'm not about that life. I would never get any work done. I downloaded it once. I was thinking about expanding to there. I was just like, that is not my ministry. So, but I have friends who are like, super Haitian, like come from Haiti, like first generation, and they love using TikTok. And I'm like, wow, like I've learned, what was it? I couldn't do my eyebrows right. I still can't, but I saw my friend's eyebrows. I'm like, they on fleek. How'd you learn? She's like, no, it was just from TikTok. And she sent me the video. I'm like, oh, it's a Haitian girl. La Pale Creole. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was the word for eyebrow pencil. Like all these things, like shading in. So I really think like whatever it is that you already like to do, the whatever style of things you already like to do, like we as humans, we have common things that we like.
Find it in common interest. Yeah.
Exactly. Find it in Creole and just bombard yourself with Creole. Besides that, I would say take up every opportunity to speak, even if you mess up. Haitians are usually very nice. If they see that you're struggling, they'll try to help you out. If you are second generation Haitian or third generation, just have thick skin because they might not be as nice to you as they would be to a blanc.
Yeah, I have those stories. I actually did a video on my Instagram about that, and I'm glad you brought that up because I think any advice I would have for anyone, because as someone who I no longer I haven't lived with my parents for over 7 years now. I don't have any grandparents anymore where I could have that relationship for that. So it's like really me trying to do this almost on my own in terms of figuring out how I can best learn it. So right now Duolingo is doing its thing. I also bought a Haitian dictionary, Your website has also been a good resource, so I would highly recommend everyone to check it out. They have videos on how to pronounce certain words and things like that. There's like basic grammar and things like that. Of course, for the premium service, y'all got to check out Rice the Haitian Creole for the premium services. But yeah, that is what I would advise anyone, that there will definitely be some criticism, some not so nice, and some will be more gentle. But if you have a reason for learning, don't allow anyone to defer you from like not going ahead to do it, because it's rough out here.
Yeah, it's rough, but it's so worth it. And
it is.
And it's like you have to see it from that person's point of view as to why they might clown you for speaking. Like, we as a people, like not just like as Black people, but especially as like immigrants, struggle so hard. Like, you know, coming to the country, not knowing the language, learning the language, adjusting to climate and everything. Sometimes hardship will make you more empathetic, but sometimes too it'll make you a little not as empathetic. So for them, it's like seeing you struggle is just kind of like, why didn't you learn it since before? You wouldn't be struggling now, you know? But and it's okay. It's all right.
And also that pride, just the pride of their language. Like, I think also one of the advice someone gave me on one of my videos, they're like, just be patient with them. Sometimes it's just like that super pride for the language. So I just mostly try and focus on the positive versus the negative, because it might be coming up from a place of love. But I think for me, the main thing is just the delivery. Like, you can criticize me and I'll do better. But I think it's the way it's done. If you're like outright scolding me and then you don't have the energy for someone else who looks different from me, then like now we have a problem. So that's the only thing I would say. Like, I think as a community, that if we want to get more people to learn the language on both sides, there needs to be some level of understanding and patience, so we can come to a common ground and get more people to be more excited about it.
I agree. And I think a start is definitely, you know, I know it's a lot to put on ourselves, but to show that excitement. I've seen that. It's like, if you show that you are, instead of like, yes, you go and you speak, but ask questions. If they see it's coming from a place of sincerity, like you want to know, don't just ask about the words, ask about the culture. What does this food come from? Why do we use this word? Why, like, what's the meaning of this proverb? You want to get a Haitian person happy and like wanting to help you, ask them, what does this proverb mean? Like, where'd that come from? You know, like like you start doing that, then a lot of those things that might be embarrassing to you, they will subside. But you have to show a sincere interest. If they see that you're trying, they will no longer look at you as like, they won't shame you for not knowing, you know, your own language, because they see that you're trying and that you care and you're trying to reconnect. So if you are second generation, I would say definitely do that. You know, if you have Haitian family, just show sincere interest. It'll come
for sure. And then to end off, before we get into like your contact and also just a range of the services that you offer, this is a high debate in our community. The reference of the way we should call the language. So I'm sure some of y'all have recognized in the video, I've been calling it mostly Haitian language. And it's mainly because like I've had some people come for me in terms of challenging me when I have called it Haitian Creole, and I can see both sides in terms of the argument. So I just want to get your feedback. Again, people's opinions is going to be on lived experiences, just how they view the language. I don't think there's any right or wrong. I personally just want people to be excited and not have language shame in terms of not wanting to learn the language. But what are your thoughts in what is the best way for us to recognize it? Because in my head, I'm like, well, it's helping to unite all of us who have the same common ground, or languages or French base. That's how we literally are making the dots between each other. I'm recognizing, I understand you from St. Lucia or Mauritius. So is it a big deal in your opinion?
In my opinion, I don't really think it is, because I feel like, this is my opinion, I feel like once we start getting into that sort of debate of calling it just Haitian instead of Haitian Creole, it has a lot to do with pride, and not necessarily pride in the language, but pride, like nationalistic pride. Now we're getting political. you're politicizing a language. And it's true, languages in a way are they are in a way political, but we don't need to add to it. I just feel like it's important to just learn how to speak it first, be comfortable, appreciate the culture, and then maybe you could get into that. But it's like, I'm like, language is already divisive because we don't understand each other. Why make it worse? So it's like, for Creole, it is a beautiful language. I think more people need to learn and appreciate it, because you see somebody say something in French. Oh, I want to learn French. I wish I could learn French. It's so beautiful. Why can't we have that about Creole? You
Oh, langue la
know?
douce, monsieur. Douce, douce.
Exactly. Like, Haitians will tell you that. M'parle Creole, mais on connaît français. C'est langue préférée moi. You know, it's like, can we have some of that for Creole?
The same energy. I know, right?
Let's
give me the
that.
Same energy.
Exactly. So I'm like, let's apply that energy, that appreciation, and worry about the name later. Why make it something that's only for us? It's beautiful. Why not share it? Like, with every single language, there's a way of thinking. If you think about it, especially with Creole, I try to tell my students that stop trying to translate word for word. Like, really take your time to understand what is it you're trying to say, how would a Haitian person see it, then try to say it that way. You know, because like it's different life experiences, so you have to understand that. That's beautiful. You don't see everything the same way as someone else, so why?
That's true.
Yeah, that's my hot take. Call it whatever you want. I personally like calling it Haitian Creole because that's what it is. It is a Creole that Haitian people speak, just like there's St. Lucian Creole, there is Guadeloupean Creole. If anything, it unites all the different French-based Creoles. And if you look at actual linguists from those different islands, like, they even have like meetings and I'm forgetting my words today. I'm sorry. Meetings and, you know, like
forums and stuff.
Yes, like exactly, like forums with other countries where they speak French-based Creoles, and they have a great old time comparing and talking about the similarities and the similar experiences, because they were colonized by mostly the same country. Like, let's focus on that. You know, that's my overall thing.
So again, as I mentioned, everyone has their own personal opinions. Everyone's perspective is going to be different. I think what I would say to wrap up this conversation is, when we're expressing things, let's just be respectful of each other. So even if you don't agree with what's being said right now, it is okay. You can express why you disagree, but please be respectful. Just to end off, I'll just say that personally, I just want the language to be given the recognition that it deserves, because for me, I think that even though it is an official language in Haiti, for some reason, even to this day, it doesn't get the same energy or the same kind of recognition of being a legitimate language.
They don't even make the documents in the
come on, like
French.
Haiti, like literally most Haitians speak Haitian Creole, and yet most of the things that are accessible in terms of official documents are in French. I don't get that concept. So if that is like people's reasoning as to why they are hung up on the name, like, I'm not sure, like, people answer a bit different. I hope that we can get to the point where the language can definitely be more recognized to be accessible to people who speak it. Like, majority of people speak the language, so why not make everything accessible to fit those people's needs? So this is definitely not a conversation just isolated to Haiti. Of course, other countries are going through this. We just know Haiti as one country that has happened to have their language be another official language next to their colonized language, which is good for Haiti. We're hoping for other countries to be on that course. Some are definitely working on that. So I just want to say thank you again for coming on. Before we go, just quickly tell us where we can find your services and more or less what people can expect from one of your classes from Rise to Haitian Creole.
So you can find us on risetohaitiancreole.com. That is also our handle on Instagram. We're working on a YouTube channel. It's there, but it's going to take some time to add to it. But honestly, like, our website has the most resources on it. Our Instagram has a lot of like fun ways to connect with the language. It's a great way to kind of like dip your feet A lot of cool skits and stuff that will help you understand some of the proverbs, especially if you're second gen. But it's great for beginners too. You know, you guys are all welcome. And then for our what Maggie lovingly called premium services, your best bet is to actually shoot us a message, whether it be on Instagram or there is a contact us uh, box on the website. You'll see it right there when you click the menu. And once you let us know what you would like, what you're looking for, then we can contact you with what we offer. Our main package that we're offering right now is one meant to really get you up to speed with Creole. So you would have a 1 hour session for grammar during the week, and then 2 half-hour sessions of pure conversation. Right now, we actually offer them on Zoom or on the phone for the conversation lessons. The grammar lessons are, as it sounds, grammar, not necessarily textbook based, but we go based off of whatever you need at that moment, and we go from there. It could be built on something in the textbook, or which I love doing is like through music. So we'll use the song lyrics to bring certain points home, or like storytelling. So some of those comedians that we've talked about, those are like really fun ways we like to do it, but also through different ways. That's grammar, so it's more structured. Conversation, it's more on the student. So you come, know what you want to talk about, and then the teacher will just help you get there, you know, by the end of it. If you do Zoom, it's recorded, everything's recorded. And then you have access to that after class. You have the recording from your lesson. We have pretty comprehensive notes that you would get afterwards too. And if you're someone who likes doing assignments in between, which we highly recommend, you'll get that as well. It's usually all compiled in Google Classroom. And you have access to us like basically, I don't want to say 24/7, but we'll reply to you within 24 hours for whatever. And we text our students actually in Creole. Even if you're a beginner, this package applies to beginners as well. We have one right now who's going through it, and it's pretty awesome for them.
And to make it easy for y'all, I'm going to put that in the description box as well, where you can find all the information that was just mentioned. Again, thank you so much for joining me, Eunice. I hope y'all, learn something from this video. You feel a bit more confident, whether you're learning Haitian Creole, the Haitian language, or another language that is from your native tongue. I hope that these tools and these tips were helpful for you and you feel more confident in your journey. Until next time, we will see you in another video. Bye.
Bye.